Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer penned a Dear Colleague letter to his caucus on Monday, emphasizing his goal of passing voting rights legislation before Christmas. But the Senate has a long to-do list before the holidays, including passing the spending bill, which still needs the Senate parliamentarian stamp of approval. Despite Republicans repeatedly blocking Senate debate on voting rights, the Schumer letter did not explain how Democrats would respond in the event of yet another filibuster. On Monday, Vice President Harris also held a follow-up meeting with black women leaders from the NAACP, the National Urban League, and other organizations who pressed the administration on voting rights. The vice president, quote, reiterated her commitment to seeing the passage of the Build Back Better Act, the Freedom to Vote Act, and the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act, a chief spokesperson stated. But time is running out for the White House to use every lever of government to push the Senate to protect our democracy. Joining me now to discuss, Brittney Cooper, professor of women's and gender studies at Rutgers University and BNC contributor. Brittney, can you explain to me what Schumer is talking about? Because this is not the first time that he has suggested that there was some sort of way that they could pass voting rights without dealing with the filibuster. Do you know what this means?
No, Schumer's trying to pull a Pelosi and keep his cards close to his vest. And that, he is doing the thing that he's done many times, which is to tell us that, that he has a way around this and that he's going to try to maneuver to get this on the docket. But the chances of that right now are looking pretty slim. And I think that the other thing that we got to remember is that we should be going directly at the filibuster, and in particular, even if we can't do away with the filibuster, which I don't think is going to happen, it's not clear to me why folks are not listening to those who are saying let's have some carve outs, particularly around voting rights, because that's the only way the Democrats maintain power. And so for everybody on the Democratic side, surely that would be, an existential reason to get on board with carve-outs for voting rights.
Are you worried about the other possibility here? Because no one knows what he's talking about. No one knows how he said he's going to do this before Christmas. Because you got to have to carve out the filibuster. You got to have to get rid of it. He said the other day that wasn't what he was talking about. Or he could be talking about slicing off huge portions of this bill so that he gets the 10 Republicans. Are you worried that is what what he's suggesting?
If his plan is to, not give us a bill as a community that actually defends our rights, then he's going to have the same problem that he's going to have if he passes nothing, right? Passing something that has no teeth is quite frankly how we got there. Look, we have a Voting Rights Act right now, but it has no enforcement provisions. So if we have a bill that, that is sizably slimmer, and let's remember that the Freedom to Vote Act is already the compromise bill, right? The John Lewis bill was the bill that we wanted, that was comprehensive, and that really came with a sort of progressive backing to it. The Freedom to Vote Act comes out of that Joe Manchin attempt to get bipartisan support. So if that's what he's talking about, and then he's going to pare that down more, I think what he's going to go into 2022 with is a morale problem. And so so that can't be the strategy here. We need a bill that's going to actually protect us from getting assaulted in states across the country, at an alarming level.
Right. See, Joe Biden has already indicated that he is not going to move on voting rights, or at least put his full weight behind the issue until he gets his spending bill dealt with in some way. So this is all on the agenda, in addition to other things that are on the agenda that is before voting rights. It is December 7th. There's 24 days if you're using every day. Like, there's no weekends and there's no Christmas at all. That's using every day, right? So do you see any way in which this timeline, which is a self-imposed timeline, by the way, there's nothing binding them to it. They set this timeline for themselves. But do you see any way that this timeline could work?
I don't. And here's the thing that I think that is complicated for me about this. On the one hand, I think that what we have done is also come with an unreasonable expectation of Biden that he do his entire platform in 1 year's time. We've never demanded that of a president, and we've never demanded it under these kind of conditions in the Congress. And that's not to let Joe Biden off the hook. It is simply to point out to our audience, right, that every single one of these provisions is absolutely urgent. We've got to do something big economically to keep the economy stimulated, to get folks back to work, to pay people well, to give people good jobs. We've got to do something to protect democracy, right? So all of those things are urgent, and we also are still dealing with COVID, which has decimated our community. So when you have a Congress that is not able to do a whole lot, and you have all of those provisions, then what do you do? But the other thing that I'm paying attention to are the lawsuits that Merrick Garland is bringing, and I think that part of what Biden has done, because Manchin and Sinema have stymied him, is to turn to Merrick Garland and to say we need a strategy at the judiciary level to actually try to push back against this sort of full court press, this assault. We've got to take it to the courts. So my hope is that the lawsuits that Merrick Garland is bringing in Texas, and that he's eyeing bringing in other places, that this is considered like a shot across the bow to these other states that want to pass restrictive legislation, and that at the very least what that gets us is a bit of a window of time, not here at the end of the year, but into 2022. And so we really need Merrick Garland to sort of aggressively use the DOJ to actually try to stymie many of these redistricting plans that are trying to go through. That'll give us some help,
Right.
against the sort of dilution of the vote, right?
Right. But let's talk about Garland. Let's talk about Texas, as you brought up. We had a state representative from Texas on yesterday, as she was describing. The legislation takes time, but the people are already running in the new districts that have been drawn. And according to her, early voting starts in Texas in February.
Yeah.
So how do you undo that? How do you speed that up? Because part of the John Lewis Act would deal with this idea of pre-clearance and having to go to the Department of Justice before you make these discriminatory redraws of districts, and they could deal with it. But now they've already been drawn, they've already been passed into law, signed into law, and people are running in them, and they're about to start voting in about 2 months.
Look, Charles, I think the most honest thing we can say to folks is that there are no satisfactory answers here. What I want to remind people of, though, is that we're actually in this position because of John Roberts, right? John Roberts' court guts the enforcement provisions of the Voting Rights Act, guts Section 5 of the Voting Rights Act. And so now we're in this position where we've got to try to defend it and put things back in place. That is something that happens before the Biden administration gets there. We have put all our hopes and dreams on a Congress that was already going to be hampered because it was a 50-50 split, and because Manchin and Sinema care more about access to power than they care about actually upholding democracy. The thing that I think that we should be saying to try to get some movement out of Joe Manchin in particular is that the Democrats have played ball with him, that they allowed him to come forward with this stripped down voting bill that he said he could get bipartisan support for. So my argument to Manchin would be, we listened to your theory and we tested it out and it failed. And at that point, as a party, we have supported your particular political agenda. And now are you going to play ball? So I think that there's got to be a recalibration about how to engage Manchin, about showing him that, despite the fact that that man infuriates me for political purposes, we've got to say, like, we played ball. Now, are you going to step up to the plate and play ball? Are you comfortable with stripping down a whole community of their voting rights, right? Simply to maintain your power. You know what I mean? And so I think that that's what we have to do here. And so, yeah.
Brittney Cooper, thank you so much for joining me tonight. Appreciate your time as always.